Interesting.
Just went live with it. I'm just going to hit a couple of sends on a few of these posts and we're good to go. I didn't get this all automated beforehand again. We'll get that figured out here. We'll get it figured out. Oh, you know what? I think I did actually do that.
Yeah, we're already on.
I guess I did set it up already. All right, we're good to go. Okay, cool. So now that we're streaming live on Facebook and we're here inside of Zoom and we have a handful of you here as well, let's get right into it. So as Nima just mentioned, this conversation is about money. We're going to be talking about money and our negative relationship with money. And what I mean specifically by that is that naturally as entrepreneurs, we are we're a little bit more okay with risk, I guess you would say, than the average person. And with that comes the responsibility of knowing that you are the last line of defense for your income, for your family, for your business growth, for all these different things. And it's very natural to have a lot of ups and downs and roller coaster of emotions as it relates to money. And I'm no stranger to this. Nima's no stranger to this. And we'll speak about it here very candidly and openly on this call because, you know, even just within the last week, Nima, I can say that, you know, like my business, for example, we've had months where we've done, you know, $80,000 months, which is amazing. Like that gets us close to almost $1 million a year in annual recurring revenue. And then we have months where it dips down to like 30K. And to give you guys some context, you know, our expenses on our business are pushing close to 30 to 35K a month now. So now all of a sudden those 30K months to me become stressful, where it used to be like a 5K month would become stressful because my bills were 6, 7, and you know those days, you know those weeks, you know those years. I'm sure everybody that's here can relate to this, but it's something that's I've been working on a lot, and I know you have too, Nima, with regards to the highs and lows and how to try and stay more even keel and trust in your own expertise and your ability to actually make money and to not allow it to control you and your emotional state, because it can be a very, very debilitating thing for a lot of people. I hear it a lot of times. So
you're raising a really interesting point. And the delusion is if I make more, that's going to make that concern go away.
Right.
And so I remember one of my clients I was working with, he's worth well over $200 million. And one of the sessions that we were doing, I was like, okay, so what's going on this week? What's been happening? He goes, I'm just paralyzed with this feeling of scarcity. And I was just like looking at him going, are you effing kidding me? Like, are you serious? And then it hit me is that it doesn't matter how many zeros are in your bank account. As an entrepreneur building a business, there is constantly, if you don't get that relationship with money correct, when I don't want to say you, when I don't get that relationship with money correct, that concern never goes away. It actually amplifies with more money. And we have this tendency to think if I just make more, that anxiety about it is going to go away. And what I discovered is when I did a few shifts and changed my relationship with abundance, resource, materialism, and looking at it from a soul and spiritual type of level, I was able to see myself as a channel that was, you know, spending according to my values and receiving and giving and receiving, this kind of flow with money that totally transformed. And it wasn't until going through a challenging time of a perception of lack and scarcity that forced me into this type of work to get into a connection to more of a higher self, because we always talk about the entrepreneur soul. The material and the spiritual are exactly kind of interrelated. And if you're not making a lot of money in your business, there's a good chance that your soul is out of alignment with the service that you're giving. And once the alignment is back, and when you get that right, and you're actually a living, breathing example of what your message is, it just happens. It naturally flows to you. And so it ebbs and flows. What I've observed is that it will ebb and flow in direct proportion to how aligned and congruent I am with the mission, vision, and purpose of my company.
Right. Yeah. And there was a couple of things coming up to me here as you were talking there, Nima, too, just trying to relate this to everybody. And if you guys can relate to this, those of you that are watching, just let us know, like, how is your conversation with money? How have you found times of, you know, where things are just going well, and you know that, like, you never have to worry about the money. It's just coming. It's just, you're connecting properly with the people that you're talking to. And that's where it relates to me the most is, you know, a lot of times when we work with solopreneur entrepreneurs that are selling consulting services or coaching services, a lot of times they're undervaluing what they actually do, what they deliver. And it's coming through in the conversations that they're having with people. They're actually asking for less than what they should be, and not selling as much as a result. And there's a mental block, I think, in that too, because I had it. Like, I'll be honest, I transparently had it as well up until about 6 months ago, where I always thought, you know, I heard people talking about high ticket and selling something for $7,000 to $8,000, $10,000, $2,500, $1,000. And I used to think like, there's no way that anybody would possibly pay that kind of money. And then I started to realize the value of what we were providing and started to truly believe in it and align our offering with the values of our company and the values of how we value the time of our staff and how they're interacting with clients. And it became an easy transition. And as soon as it's like anything, it's like as a speaker, I'll give you an example. As a speaker, when I first started out, I charged nothing. Right. I didn't know my value. I felt like I didn't have any. I would do any kind of presentation for free, meetup groups, whatever. And then eventually somebody told me, you know what, you should at least ask for like $500. And I thought, oh, okay, yeah, I'll ask for $500. And then I got it the first time. And then a coach would say, you know what, you should probably ask for $3,000. And I thought, oh, there's no way anybody's going to pay me $3,000. And then I get $3,000, right? And then eventually it's $10,000. And it's the same thing with, you know, whatever you're offering as a service too, and really valuing what you bring to the table and your time and how much it's worth, right?
You just nailed it. And this is really the whole point here. The whole point is you're paid in direct proportion to what you believe that you are worth. Now, the question that's wise to be asked at this point is, okay, so why don't I believe I'm worth more than this? And when you start delving into these questions, what comes up is, oh, I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. Who am I to be making such a difference? And all that imposter syndrome starts to show up, which is a direct reflection of any wounding, any emotional trauma, any setbacks that you've experienced in business partnerships, relationships. You got fired from a job one time. You got dumped by your high school sweetheart. You just went through a divorce. You've just been through a toxic relationship. And all of these emotional setbacks that you've gone through will trigger that little voice of the dark passenger in your brain that says, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. And then you don't feel worthy and valuable. So when you go to an interview or what you ask for in life, you basically settle for whatever you feel that you're worth. So I'm going to challenge people and say that you're actually being paid right now in direct proportion, exactly the amount that you feel that you're worth.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for you to change that, there needs to be some inner work to peel back and inquire, what are the stories, what are the events in my life that have created this brokenness in my soul that doesn't allow me to feel that worthiness? And then when you ask that question, the stories will come. Well, I have an abusive partner. I keep getting, my partner keeps talking shit to me or talking down to me. And so then what'll happen is, in all likelihood, when I talk to these people, then they'll point the finger and say, okay, because my father told me this. And so everyone has a story of a dad who's been, when he gets activated and tells you that you can't do it and you're not worthy, or a husband or a wife or a partner or a cousin that's calling you names and saying you're a piece of shit and you can't do it and all of that stuff. And what happens is we allow those outside voices to drown our power. And so when you get this part right and you're able to transform that story, those old voices that that contribute to the little voice in your head, the inner critic that feels unworthy of achieving a higher salary status, pay wage. When you get it right, you're able to drown that out, and you're able to know your worth. You're able to know your value. And it's inner work. It's very necessary. It doesn't just happen automatically overnight. It takes deep, soulful inner reflection for you to actually get up and go, yeah, I'm worth this much. I'm worth this much of a pay scale. I'm worth this much of an income. And it's a reprogramming of that wounded inner child, ego, subconscious mind that still wants, is a counterforce that wants to pull you down. So there's work involved.
Yeah. Yeah. And when, as it relates to like a spouse, I know I hear that a lot when I get on calls with people that end up working with us in our mentoring program, Nima, that one of the things that they'll answer questions on an application saying, what do you want to create? What do you think is holding you back? And a lot of times with what do you think is holding you back, the answer is, I don't want to fail. Yeah, I don't want my partner looking at me again and going, oh yeah, another thing that you're going to spend money on that's not going to work, right? And they're coming in with that mindset of almost like they're defeated before they start, right?
My interesting. I've been a chiropractor for 16 years, and just discovered that the patients are coming in to see me. They were all anxiety-related issues. They were all based on toxicity in relationships, wounded inner child stuff. And I'm like, how am I going to help these people if we don't address the mindset? So I started creating these little workshops in my office. And after about a year of doing that consistently, Trevor, I saw so much transformation in my patients, not only with their health, but then their relationships, and then their finances, and then their careers. And then they would just level up because we shifted the beliefs about themselves using my overview method. And one day I remember telling my dad, I'm selling my practice. I'm leaving chiropractic, and I just want to do this full time. And he freaking flipped out on me. It was like, what the heck? And so when I went off on a speaking tour, he was like, what are you doing? You're like crazy. And so what happens is I use that as fuel. At first, I used to let that really weigh me down, with the delusion that he should be supportive of me. He should be telling me that, I'm worthy. He should be believing in me. But I want to offer you something, is that every human being has a set of values. And anything that I perceive that's supporting of my values, I'm going to label it as good. I'm going to give it a thumbs up, Trevor. But if I look at that and I see it as doesn't support my values, I'm going to go like this. And because any in a family dynamic, we have such categorically opposing values. In case you haven't noticed, you look at your family and go, how am I related to these people? It's exactly the same. Is that my father, who's an engineer, who is not very risky, and it's all about data and predictability. He has data to support that I have a very thriving chiropractic practice, but he didn't have any data to support that moving on to something bigger for myself is going to yield the same material results financially. And so at first I made up a story that he didn't believe in me, until I realized that he shouldn't believe in me because he's basing it on his values, which is the data that he's got. Yeah. And the second that I let go of the expectation that he should believe in me and he should support my decision, I realized he does believe in me. He believes in me in the exact categories of the data that he's seen. Yeah. And as long as I expect him to look at things my way, he should see things my way and understand my dreams and desires. That's not his way of being. So when I let go of that and I stopped making up a story that he didn't believe in me because of that, all of a sudden I was imbued with power. And when I do have the little dips and I go to him and he's like, I told you so. Yeah, it hurts. However, I use that as rocket fuel.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Fuel to step up. It's like, bring it on. Thank you. And if you want to be an entrepreneur and if you want to go out and face the world, you're going to have to deal with a lot more haters than your father or your mother or your spouse. So they're actually doing you a favor by being your contrarian. because the real world out there is way tougher than them. And if they were fully supporting of you, they're not preparing you for what's out there.
Yeah. Which is why there's two things that I would suggest to everybody to really get into that mindset and be able to get to that level. One is find mentors that have been there and done what you want to do. That's number one. That's what I did about 6 months ago. I'm in a coaching program right now where I pay a considerable amount of money for it as well, but I literally end up on mastermind calls with people that have 7, if not like in some cases, they're 8-figure businesses. And when I first joined into it, I thought, okay, great. I'm going to get the tactics and strategies of the most successful people that are, building their businesses. And I realized that they were going through the exact same things as me, just on the next level, just with more zeros. Exactly how you just said it, right? Like your client that's making 200 million a year. I'm, engaging with people that are bringing in 10, 20, $30 million a year, and they're having the exact same conversations. They're about to launch a new training or a program or whatever, and they think nobody will buy it, and they're worried about, paying their own bills. And that's the thing. That's when it really hit me, where it was like, it's not about making more money.
It's not going to go away either.
It doesn't go away.
At the very least, all that matters is, am I in my body? Am I connected to my breath?
Yeah.
Am I doing what I love? Am I making an impact in people's lives? Do I get paid to be doing what I love? Am I complete with my past journey, or am I living in a state of victimhood?
Mm-hmm. Which is the second part that I was going to say, is to do the work that you support people on. And I think you just spoke to it there, because I see Kelly made a comment here saying, my passion is helping small businesses and nonprofits. And those guys usually get left behind by the big marketing firms, for example, because they don't always have a lot of money. So you find it challenging to keep the balance of being paid fairly and wanting to help people. Not sure if I want to go so big. I leave behind my passions. And I would question that. Why can't you have both? Yeah. Why can't you follow your passion, And sometimes that means making hard decisions too, with what maybe your current reality is. Maybe you are working with an organization, or, you're positioning yourself where you're not truly getting paid or making money at the level that you want to. But I know a lot of people, like part of this coaching program, in fact, like one of the ones that you were in previously, I know, Nima, with Clients on Demand. I'll just mention them out loud. They work with people that are like life coaches, right? Like there's a lot of broke life coaches out there, but there's also a lot of people that understand the value that they bring and how they can show up and truly exchange that value with somebody else. And they're making lots of money. Like they can do very well, and they're doing what they love. So to say that being in the nonprofit world means that you can't make money, it's just not true. It's honestly not true.
It's an individual belief in yourself. See, when I get on a call with somebody, yesterday, like I help one of my specialties, based on my experience and my training and understanding of the nervous system, is that I help power couples who are struggling in toxic relationships regulate their nervous systems and find intimacy with each other by finding an intimacy with themselves first. That's what I specialize in. And when I get on a call with somebody who's really struggling, and it's do or die for them, it's like, things are about to end. I get into a space of such deep service and love that it's kind of like I kind of picture myself as becoming this clear channel. And this is the whole link between spirit and matter. So spirit without matter is expressionless, and matter without spirit is motionless. So what that means is, spiritually and materially, it requires that there's both. And there's a soul to money that if we don't get right and we don't learn how to merge the two together, we're always chasing after one, missing the other. We are always going to think that, just making more money is going to make an impact. And then, which we can see that's not true. The people who commit suicide and die of drug overdoses are the ones usually who are not doing so bad financially in the world of fame and fortune. And those that, think that, oh, it's all just about the soul and they're lacking any resource. They're just like, oh, I don't care about, those are the ones that say, I don't want to do it for the money. I don't care about the money. It's not about the money. And their pendulum is completely on the other end, and they're always broke. They're always broke. They're always living paycheck to paycheck. They're always asking for handouts. It's not about the money. Can I borrow some off of you though, please? It's like that. There's gotta be a union with the two. There's got to be an integration with the two, and you can't integrate those two unless you integrate inside internally and get your nervous system healthy and integrate your dualities. So there's a whole inner work required that as I continue to do the inner work, my abundance materially starts to manifest. It's not when I'm focusing entirely on it, but it's when I'm focusing on this concept of fair exchange that I want to give to the universe something very valuable. I mean, I asked this one guy, how much would a divorce cost you? And they basically said it would cost us about $3 million. I'm like, okay, that's hugely valuable to help these people in that toxic relationship. If it's going to cost them $3 million, then what I offer over a few months is exceedingly valuable. Then all of a sudden, when I look at it that way, I'm like, wow, I have tremendous value for what I do if I'm able to help solve that problem for them. Mm-hmm. So you're gonna get paid in direct proportion to the gravity and the gravity of the problem that you solve. So if you want to make more money, you have to really expand who you are in order to elevate your conscious awareness to be able to solve bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger problems.
Absolutely. All right. Well, you know what, Nima, let's keep it tight here today. And I thank everybody for being here. I see like we've had a few comments come in, people talking. Hopefully this is really relatable to you guys, that you got some good advice that can help set you down the path. Now, of course, just this quick 25-minute call is probably not everything that a person needs to really truly understand what a person can do to regulate, what a person can do in between those up and down moments, because very transparently as well, like Nima and I are close friends. He works in our office here 3 days a week. We have these moments up and down constantly of money conversations, even when big deals come in and we're like, yeah, ring the bell, the very next day you're like, am I ever going to do that again? Like it doesn't end. It doesn't end, So it's a matter of continuously doing the work. And that's why I say, I just put a link in there.
I'm a work in progress. Yeah.
Yeah, we both are. So
if you have any questions and if this is meaningful, please reach out. I would love to talk to you, see where you're blocked in it. And if there's a guilt or a shame that you're holding on to, you're blocking abundance from flowing in, and it deserves a second look. So definitely reach out, and I'd love to have a chat if you're actually open to finally wanting that to end.
And on that note, so the link that I just put into the chat in Zoom as well as on Facebook will take you to a page where if you do scroll down a little bit, you're going to see a link where you can actually book a chat with Nima if you'd like to hop on a call with them. There's information, of course, on there as well about the upcoming workshop that's happening in Vancouver here in a couple of weeks now. And
in
a week and a half, yeah. And I, want to make sure that we get the word out about that to as many people as possible, because I've experienced this on the 2.0 level. This is 3.0 level. There's going to be a bunch of new stuff that'll be incorporated. It's not just theory, sitting down, writing in a book. You're going to be experiencing what's being taught, and it truly will change your life. I can tell you it has for me. The combination of working with you, Nima, as well as the coaching that I've received and just all the growth that I've done in this area, I wouldn't be where I am with my own money conversations if it wasn't for that kind of stuff. So I encourage all of you to go and check that out. Reach out if you guys have any questions. If there's anything that resonated with you here today, you'd like us to support you on, we're here for you. Thank you again so much for being here. Thanks, Nima. Appreciate it.
God bless.